Did you get it? That email in your inbox? You've been invited to join a fantasy football league. Have you answered it yet? Oh, you don't know how to play, do you? Alright, let's start at the beginning. The basics. A fantasy football league. Usually there's about 10 or 12 teams. Each of them has an owner, like you. A standard team starting lineup is usually made up of 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 team defense, a flex position, which can usually be a running back, wide receiver, or a tight end, and a kicker. It's easy. They do well in real life. They kick butt for you. Now, the draft. The way you decide who's going to be on your team. In a draft, everyone in your league gets on their computers, clicks onto the draft, and takes turns picking players for their teams. Usually you're put in random order, and when it's your turn to pick, you have a certain amount of time to choose your next player. See? I just drafted Jamal Charles. Usually the draft is in what we call a snake format. That means everyone is given a random order for the first round, 1 to 10, or however many teams there are. Then, in the second round, the last place team goes first. So it's snakes. Gross. Get it? And you just keep taking turns over and over, picking players until you've filled up all your positions with the best football players you can get. And let's say maybe you don't feel like you know a lot of these players. Who am I going to draft, you say? Usually a lot of these sites have you covered. When you're on that draft screen, there's a list right smack dab in the middle in front of you that automatically sorts every player in the NFL by how good they are. You can even switch by positions, and they'll rank the running backs and the quarterbacks and the wide receivers. There's usually tons of information right there at your fingertips. Alright, now it's time to play football. Every week before the first game of the week is played, you set your lineup. It's important to make sure every position in your lineup not only has someone in it, but someone who you know is going to play that week and play well. If your normal starter isn't going to play, you can either switch them out with someone from your bench or go pick up a free agent. Which brings us to our next topic. Adding players. It's football. Guys are going to get hurt. And when they do, you need to be ready to tackle it. See what I did there? That's when it's time to hit the waiver wire. What that means is there's a bunch of guys that nobody drafted. Most sites have a little tab like this. You can click called players. Click it, and there they are. Everybody that's available to you. So just browse or search for the player or position you want and go get them. Now, every team also has a bye week. During that week, they won't play, and so you'll have to fill their place in that lineup. So you can either hit the waiver wire or hit your bench. Winning. Every week you face off head-to-head with another team in your league. Whichever team scores the most points wins. Season usually ends after week 13, and the top 6 teams face off in the playoffs for the next 3 weeks until a victor is crowned. Now, a couple of do's and don'ts here. Do. A little research before the draft. Who's supposed to be good this year? Who's not? What positions have the least amount of awesome players? Should you try to snap one of them up quick? Don't ignore your team. Nothing makes people in a league more steamed than when someone forgets to set their lineup every week or doesn't try to win every time. Luckily, most sites have a fantasy app for your phone where you can do everything you need to on the go. Do. Keep up with stuff during the season. Add players that are unexpectedly being awesome. Make smart trades. Get your hands dirty. Don't just try to get players from your real life team. Mix it up. Pick the best players. Win it in your first year. And don't forget to have fun. The best thing about fantasy football is watching the games and seeing the guys on your team beat up the competition. So go forth, have fun, and kick the crap out of everybody.